Hello students, today we are going to do the remaining three stanzas of the poem Garden. As I have already told you that in the first part of the poem, in the first three stanzas, the poet talks about the physical garden and the immense pleasure which he gets in the physical garden. He talks about the sensuousness, the sense of taste, the sense of touch, the sense of smell which he experiences living in a garden. And then he goes on to say that his mind is not happy or his mind is not satisfied with the physical garden because the physical garden is limited, whereas the mind is unlimited, and therefore the mind builds a garden of its own which is limitless. Now in this stanza, here at the fountain sliding foot or some fruit tree's mossy root, casting the body's vest aside, my soul into the boughs does glide. So now here the poet, he talks about the soul, and he says that not only my body but even my soul enjoys the garden. He says that he recognizes the presence of a divine spirit in nature. He says that he has a contact with that spirit. So he considers the materialistic pleasures as vain, and he now seeks spiritual pleasures. He believes that spiritual progress is possible only in solitude, which is found only in a garden. So now the poet says that here at the fountain sliding foot or at some fruit tree's mossy root, so either at the end of the fountain which is falling, and at the end of the fountain, or he says at a mossy tree's root or under the fruit tree which is covered with moss, he says that casting the body's vest aside. Casting means leaving the human body, which is like a vest, which is like a cover. Just as the vest covers our body, similarly our body covers our soul. So this body, which is the cover of a soul, he says that I leave my body, I remove my body, and my soul becomes free. My soul becomes independent, and it becomes like a soul, like a bird. And just as the bird sits on the branches and sings, similarly my soul also enjoys and expresses its great joy and delight in its new-found independence. He says the bird, it wets and combs its silver wings. So wets means it, what does it do? It flutters its wings and it combs its wings and prepares its wings for a longer flight. Similarly, he says that my soul is also now preparing itself to fly to a lovelier spot, a better spot, and that is heaven. So we have a simile here where the poet compares the soul to a bird. Then he says, until prepared for longer flight, waves in it plumes the various light. So now what does it do? My soul, just like a bird, is preparing itself for a longer flight to heaven. And waves in its plumes, and you can actually, just as the feathers or the wings of the bird, they reflect the various colors. The waves are actually the various colors, and due to the sunshine. Similarly, he says that my soul is also reflecting the various colors, and it is now preparing itself to go, enjoy the nature and then go to heaven and enjoy the beautiful world that is heaven. Then comes the stanza, the 8th stanza, where the poet is talking about the Garden of Eden. He says, such was that happy garden state, while man there walked without a mate. Such means extreme beauty, extreme happiness, extreme enjoyment was the condition or the state of the Garden of Eden when Adam lived in the Garden of Eden without any companion, without any Eve. After a place so pure and sweet, what other help could yet be meet? So he says that he was living absolutely alone. He was living solitary. He was living alone. And he says that when he was blessed with such a beautiful place, that is the Garden of Eden, which is so pure, which is so sweet, which is so beautiful, what other help What other desire did Adam want? Because he had got the best of what God could give. But it was beyond a mortal share to wander solitary there. But share here means, mortal means refers to Adam, and share means destiny. So it was not written in the destiny of Adam or a man to enjoy two paradises in one. To wander solitary means to enjoy alone the beauty of the garden. Two paradises it were in one, to live in paradise alone. So actually living in the Garden of Eden was a mixture or an amalgamation of two paradises. One paradise was the Garden of Eden, which was so beautiful, it was blissful, it was so enjoyable. And the second paradise was to live alone, to live in solitude. But it was beyond a mortal share. Mortals do not have the privilege to get so much joy and bliss and enjoy the bliss of the garden and the bliss of living in solitude both. And therefore, what did he do? He asked God for a companion, and God blessed him with Eve. And when Eve came, we all know that the Garden of Eden was destroyed. Then comes the last stanza, where the poet has compared God to a gardener. And he says, just as the gardener looks after the flowers and the fruits of the garden, and the whole garden is blooming with beautiful flowers, similarly, God has made this world as a garden. He says, he refers to the golden age of man, like he says that this earth, this beautiful earth, it is a dial which is made by God. So this is the concluding stanza where the poet prefers the company of plants and flowers to the company of men, and he finds mental peace in the garden. And he says that this whole earth is like a garden, and it is made like a clock, beautiful, sweet smelling flowers, and the time is calculated by these beautiful, sweet smelling flowers. Only God, who is the most skillful gardener, could create such a beautiful world where the loveliness is reigning from sunrise to sunset, where the time is calculated by the flowers. He says, of flowers and herbs this dial knew, where from above the milder sun does through a fragrant zodiac run. So the sun, when it is shining, we have day. When the sun is not shining, we have night. So the God has calculated the light of the sun, and he has calculated the day and the night. Then the sun is moving. At that time in the 17th century, it was believed that the sun revolves around the earth. So therefore the sun was moving through this belt of beauty, and this sun is actually dividing the time into zodiacs. Zodiac means into 12 months. And as it works, the industrious bee conquers it, computes its time as well as we. He says not only the human being, the God has helped, according to making this garden, the God has helped even the bees and even the animals to calculate the time as perfectly as the human calculate their time. How could such sweet and wholesome hours be reckoned but with herbs and flowers? He says, how could means is there? Is there any other way of reckoning, means counting the day and night, counting the seasons, counting the 12 months more beautifully than with this garden? So the skillful gardener refers to the stanza is the ultimate reality which sustains all creation. He refers to the sundial, and he says that the time, the seasons can be determined by the growth of the herbs and flowers and by the humming of the bees, and this is the most beautiful way of calculating time. Thank you.